Have someone with a respectful. That's what I'm saying. Like they want to be respectful thoughts, my nigga. Girls nowadays want to be respectful thoughts. Like that's literally what it is, a respectful thought. You can't be respectful in a thought. That's just not how it works. I gotta consider my son grown in order for me to let that nigga make that choice. You know what I'm saying?
I grew up with a positive father figure.
Nigga, the only person I can really say was like the big ass father figure in my life was my uncle Pacha. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I want to make it in this shit though. Like I want to make it in YouTube and shit like that, so I can just retire that nigga though. Cause like that nigga don't have no fun. He just works every single day.
I'm outside, you inside. I'm outside, you inside.
I'm on a Jubilee, my nigga.
Do you see the state of our world today? It's not perfect, and it's been led by men like throughout all of history, and look where it's gone.
All right, chat. Do y'all think masculinity in America is depleting or disappearing? That's fuck. What you got?
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Masculinity is disappearing in America.
I'm gonna step forward.
I think that
I'm gonna go to Mexico then. What the fuck?
I think that it's a concerted effort to emasculate men. I think that some people feel threatened by masculinity and the typical way that men carry themselves, leading families and different things like that. So I think that there's an effort to mitigate strong men in America.
There's a few different ways to think about masculinity, but just looking at kind of the definition of the term 50 years ago, you had people like John Wayne, you had Martin Luther King, you had Sean Connery. You think of like masculine features as in beards, hairy chests, big muscles, think stoic, being brave, being rugged, being a provider. Today you have people like Harry Styles and Timothy Chalamet. You have people that are completely contrary to what we were looking at back then, and those values of those masculine characteristics are completely devalued.
I do believe that masculinity is going downhill, especially if you look at like the testosterone levels. Now the testosterone levels for guys is going down compared to generations before us. So yeah, I agree.
Wait, what?
I'm 24 years old and I'm a conservative man. With my beliefs and having a trans man as my friend, we don't really talk about politics. Someone being trans doesn't make me like them any less of a person. As far as pronouns, when referring to my friend, I don't really use the pronouns that my friend would want. I just say my friend or I say their name, just because I feel like I'm giving into the narrative that men can be women and women can be men if I use the pronouns that they want.
Politics? Like I don't even get into politics. That shit is done to me.
I do see that masculinity is under attack completely, but my definition of masculinity, like you said, has a lot to do with the traits that are associated with it. As a gay man, I mean, of all of us, I'm not the most masculine man, but I do think that the good aspects of masculinity are definitely under attack, but I don't think that it's disappearing, it's just being channeled in different ways.
It depends on how you look at it, because a lot of the traits can also be embodied in women.
Yo, Melanie, what's up?
So when we look at masculinity, I think that we have to also look at what is the actual definition of femininity and masculinity, and if we're defining masculinity by being stoic or muscles or
there used to be a girl,
then is it really masculinity?
A lot of times when you guys spoke about masculinity, you associate it with men being manly, but I think more women are embracing their masculinity. Masculinity is still there. I mean, just other genders are using it. Being courageous, being powerful, more women are standing in their power, which is again associated with masculine, but it's not.
There used to be a girl.
Men. Women are no longer submissive, they're dominant. Women don't need men, and I think that most of America is realizing that anyone can be powerful on their own.
I believe that the masculine traits are inherently in men, and men have to take a position. You made a really good point by saying women are now becoming more masculine. They feel as if they don't need men, which I think is the problem here.
I don't know.
I think that the way we've been designed,
no, honestly, I don't know.
In my opinion, is that men are to lead, men are to be strong, men are to be brave. Men have to take their rightful position. The way our country has been structured to this point have been because of strong men who have taken a stand, who have fought wars. Now I feel like it's getting so lopsided that our families are degrading. People don't know where they're at in this country.
Better than a motherfucking tech genius.
Masculinity is being redefined. And I think what happens is
that's a trans man, I think.
Start to change. No, I think that nobody ever wants to take that away from men. I think that what we want to do in the world now is start to understand what is masculinity. And it's always been really associated with this very machismo space. And now there's different kinds of men in the world. There's not just biological men. There's also trans men or people who want to be masculine. So I think what's happening now is people are pushing against change because change is scary and people don't understand. And so I think men, biological men, feel under attack.
Yeah,
I think
he's on porn spectrum. Yeah,
the point that you made is 100% correct. There are different phases, and people are experiencing in different ways. The feminist movement is, I think, they are attacking masculinity within men. I don't want a man to open the door for me. I don't need a man in my life. I can do all of these different things. What they're doing is attacking men, and that's what's causing the problem.
What part of the feminist group feels like it's attacking? Because I know that most feminism is like wanting equal pay or...
Well, you just said that women not needing men is somehow empowering. You know, having a man is somehow less empowering, or being an individual is somehow less empowering.
But that's how women feel. Right. Women actually are saying that because that's how they feel. It's
but that's not how every woman feels.
But no one's saying every woman. They're only women speak for themselves. So all of you are going to have different opinions as biological men.
Absolutely.
Women all have different opinions. Oh, you see a very specific group of women saying this.
Let me just, you did just say that's how women feel. So are you speaking on behalf of all
women?
No,
no, I'm not. Let me take that back. So, the women who are saying that feel that way.
Why do you feel that women in general feel disempowered?
I don't think in general. No. That's a general.
I just want to chime in on this, my nigga. I feel like I feel like women nowadays, like I feel like the mass of women changed once like the music changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like once Megan Thee Stallion came out, you know what I'm saying? Hot Girl Summer, all that other shit, bro. That's when girls like, oh yeah, I'm a dog. Like, I'm gonna be a dog ass bitch.
Do you do 2 streams a day?
Nah, I do 1.
Oh, cause I thought you'd be streaming early too.
Nah. Like that's when girls became like real life dogs, bro. When them songs started coming out, girls became real dogs, my nigga. They started doing niggas dirty. Niggas been doing girls dirty since the beginning of time. Girls are sneakier than niggas. But yet, if you think about it, bitches try to like when I say bitches, I mean bitches. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't try to be disrespectful to that much, but I have someone for respectful stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like they want to be respectful thoughts, my nigga. Girls nowadays want to be respectful thoughts. Like that's literally what it is, a respectful thought. You can't be respectful in a thought. That's just not how it works. I'm not gonna treat you right, and you fucking him, and him. I'm not gonna treat you right. I'm not gonna treat you right after knowing how you really is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like respectful thought shit ain't it, my nigga. Just like how hood, just like how niggas who be fucking all the bitches. It's up to them to take that nigga. But nowadays, everybody want to be a dog ass motherfucker because ain't no real love no more in the world.
My statement, you can't say that. I said
the
women. No, I did not. I said the women who say that.
You associated somehow. Women are now embracing masculinity, which means that they are now more empowered because they don't need a man.
Right. Men feel empowered when women need
But
them.
I don't think that women's empowerment comes from having a man or not having a man. So why is it always associated that a woman's now empowered because she doesn't need a man? A woman has always been empowered. Women have never been.
But they've never felt that.
That's not true.
I mean, if we go back to the 1920s, if you're going to do that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about society right now.
Right now, you actually think women are empowered right now?
Absolutely, women are empowered.
Who's the vice president?
And how long did it take for her to become a vice president, though?
She was finna get real critical
There is
enough.
a right and wrong way to be a man.
That's a good ass question.
Take a second to think about it.
I think that when I originally heard the question being asked, I didn't agree with it, but men are not abusive individuals.
To be honest,
men
sorta.
are not to be cowards.
Yeah,
Men
sorta,
are to
yeah.
lead their families. And men who do not display that, I don't believe that they are men, in my opinion. And all of the
Hold on.
qualities
What
that I
my
see
nigga
in
just say?
father is what I believe a man should be.
All of those characteristics are what make a man. And when I see
Display that. I don't abusive individuals. Men are asked, I didn't agree with it, but men are not abusive individuals. Men are not to be cowards. Men are to lead their families. And men who do not display that, I don't believe.
Like, when I say all this shit, I don't mean no disrespect to all the trans niggas, the whatever niggas. I don't mean no disrespect to y'all niggas. I'm just gonna speak how I'm gonna speak it. And I'm not gonna try to, like, filter this shit, though.
That they are men, in my opinion. And all of the qualities that I see in my father is what I believe a man should be.
All of those characteristics are what make a man. And when I see a man be a coward in the truth, in just speaking the truth, or sticking up for what's right, especially today in America with everything going on, I'm like, those are not men. My name is Clarkson. I'm 24 years old, and I'm a conservative man. My biggest question for the other side really is, are you happy?
Other side is crazy.
Wants to fundamentally
other
change
side is
society
crazy
and change gender roles. To me, that's not happiness. And if we want to fight for acceptance, we need to start with acceptance, which is accepting society for what it is.
Like, it's fucking unknown gender. Bro, I hate that unknown gender. Just say if you're a boy or a girl.
At the end of the day, we're all men, and I don't believe there's any wrong way to be a man. We're just redefining what it means to be a man.
But there are things that naturally come to men. So when you say we're just redefining what being a man is, you have to understand you're redefining a fabric in society that has kept the human race and got it to where it is today. So just like aimlessly throwing out, oh, well, we're just redefining what it is to be a man. That's not just like a light subject that we should be talking about.
But why do you think it has to stay the same? Why do we need to have the same thing for hundreds and hundreds of years?
Do you not see the state
It's not the same thing. It's just keeping the same qualities.
But do you see the state of our world today? It's not perfect. It's been led by men like throughout all of history, and look where it's gone.
So, we're talking about redesigning what it means to be a man. So, what do you want to bring to traditional men?
I think it's embracing that you can be vulnerable. I think that a lot of men want to portray strength. But men are people, and I know that men have feelings.
Being a man
and
masculinity, those are two different things. And I believe that we can redefine whatever that means to anybody by including other types of men or other types of masculinity. I myself am a father, I have a child. Some people would disagree with me being a father because I am transgender. But that being said, I present to the world as a male, my child sees me as a man.
There's proper ways to be vulnerable, right? You don't have to break down in front of your family and cry. It's okay to suffer silence as well. Strong men.
After this, I think it's like 2 more videos after this.
You guys are referring to. I think the problem is overcorrection, right? Some people believe that men need to cry and lay on the ground and be feminine like women. My name is Brandon.
Damn.
I'm 34 years old, and I'm a conservative man. I had a lot of curiosities about what it's like to be a person who believes that they're a trans man. I feel like God has created all of us very uniquely, and although I have beliefs and I follow the Bible to the T, I still want to know from...
That Bible saying like that Bible shit. I believe it's a higher power, but I don't believe in a Bible, so to say. That shit was man written. Hundreds of times, my nigga. Like
other people, what their experiences are. Doesn't mean I have to agree, but I really want to know what other people are feeling from the person who's experiencing it real time.
I have male privilege.
What that mean?
I've lived both lives, and I can tell you firsthand that it does exist. I am taken much more seriously in my career since I've transitioned as a man. Prior to transitioning, I would work just as hard, if not harder, for the same position and not be considered. The minute that I transition, I am immediately taken more seriously. I can give you an example. Obviously with COVID, there's like the mask mandate, right? So I have to tell customers all the time, it needs to be above your nose, right? I do that all day. My manager who's above me, who is a woman, will have to go to them, tell them they give her a fight. But the minute I just look in their direction, it's up. It doesn't seem like a privilege, but it is because now my manager has to work 3 times harder for something that's so simple.
I think the word privilege is the thing that turns a lot of people off with this conversation. But that being said, again, myself living my life as a female, pretty much half my life, and then now half my life as a man. There is no way I could not be honest about the fact that my life has changed drastically. Also being a white man, that's also a conversation a lot of people don't want to have. But I have privilege of being white and privilege also of being a man now. I can walk into any room and command that room in a heartbeat because people just do that with men. And I think the thing is that biological men are born into that space, so they'll never ever see it. Why do we now, as women who have become men, get to have this thing? It's 100% because we are men. We look like men. Nobody would ever know. No one would ever know that we used to be women. So it's actually a real lived experience.
I get what they're saying.
So I agree with a lot of what you all are saying as far as like transitioning. But as a black man, privilege looks way different for me, because if I'm walking down the street, then I'm seen as a threat by police, by women, by anybody else. Being seen as a man is where my privilege stops. and where everything else begins. So I don't see it as privilege.
Okay, I got a lot to say about this topic here.
That was a good ass front.
First of all, I mean, we have to be transparent and honest with each other. You know, I think that not everybody on this side presents 100% like a man. Like if I saw you in the streets, I wouldn't think you were a man. You know, men have it really hard in this world, and they've always had it hard in this world. The wars have been fought by men. They've died in the hundreds of thousands. Men commit suicide more. Men work more the dangerous jobs. You know, if somebody broke in this place right now, who are they going to expect to defend everybody in here? It's going to be the men. If your family fails, they're not looking at your wife. They're not. They're looking at the man. You know, I just want people to understand that there's some advantages that men have, and then also men do struggle in custody and all kinds of different things.
100%. I 100% agree with you as a man now, right? But what I think my perception of it is different than yours, because you were born male, you were raised male, you have a whole other space in that, and I totally respect your opinion on that, and I believe that that is a true lived experience as a born man.
Yeah, and let me add with the black man, because we have a total different reality in that. I don't, in no way, form, or fashion do I go into a room and I feel like I'm less than. I think I command presence when I go into a room because the way I'm dressed, and I'm tall. I go in the streets. I've never had a person cross the street. I've never been attacked by a police officer. I was a police officer. You know, I've been pulled over probably 3 times in my entire life.
I mean, my biggest question with this and why I don't necessarily agree with it is because when it comes to privilege, there's not really a way to quantify it. It's very subjective. So like your version of male privilege and your version of male privilege are very different.
So it's hard to see the other side because you've never lived it.
Yeah.
The difference between you and us is we see it because we've lived it. You have not. So it's easy to speak and be like, well, it doesn't exist. But well, how would you know?
I feel like he speak a little bit like, he got a little animosity.
Has certain privileges, but what I think the question here is what defines male privilege over women? Because women have privileges too. Right. So is there a graph that you guys are calculating to make men have more than women, or what?
The privilege is not acknowledging what you have that comes so easy.
So do you think that your fear, because you live both sides,
right,
do you think your fear is something that you have in your mind, or you think it's a reality? Because no, let me say this: you never really changed as a person. You're the same person
right,
that you
exactly.
were. So you have the same physical capabilities that you did when you were a woman.
No.
You don't.
No, my strength is entirely different after
what percentage would you say?
More than 100%.
Okay,
I weigh like 100 pounds.
You should be able to walk into anywhere and not be denied service based on skin color, beliefs, or the way you look or talk. You feel me? I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I think that the reason why both sides on this question can't really like connect with this shit is because like you got trans men and you got like biological born straight men talking about what it feels to be a man when the trans people have been on before. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? And then some of them are white, which, you know what I'm saying, like I feel like they can see it themselves that they have an extra advantage as well.
But you're still not probably as strong as me.
But it's not about strength. It's that women are targeted. Men are not targeted. I mean, maybe sometimes. I'm not saying it's never going to happen.
They're targeted by other men.
Right. But women are targeted by other men. I think women have less of a safe space.
I disagree. Men don't have a safe space. If you go to certain
But I'm talking
women
about...
has less of a safe space than men.
Okay, but I'm not talking about certain cities. I'm talking about everyday life.
Yeah, every day.
Not
I think that's a blanket
Have you ever been attacked as a woman?
I have.
I have been pressurized.
I've been raped. I've been attacked.
Damn, nigga! The nigga! That's probably why he went from she to he in the first place. But what the fuck? That nigga just said the R word.
I can go on and on and on. I was homeless, living in the streets, raped all the time. It happens. It's a real thing. Yeah. I didn't see the guys on the street getting raped. But
men do get raped.
100%. But the experience of
do you get catcalled down the street? Like,
I mean, women say things to me. When I was a police officer,
do you feel threatened? You feel empowered though, right?
No, I don't feel empowered. I feel that's
But do you feel scared? Do you feel threatened when a woman catcalls you?
No, I don't. But I don't feel threatened if a man try to challenge.
Because you have that privilege.
What if a man was whistling at you?
Bro, I gotta stop watching them niggas. I do not be watching them.
I had gay men whistle to me.
But how does that make you feel?
I don't care.
Okay, cool.
I mean, as long as you don't touch me, we cool.
Right.
I feel the same way.
I'm attractive. That's fine. That's cool. I get it.
I think women will say the same thing as long as you're not like.
One time I was in the store, I got free chicken for totally off top. Once I was in the store, my mama, there was this gay guy, and he was giving me my chicken and shit like that, right? I know chicken on black wool, right? Mark, you see what I want? I got you. And he gave me free chicken. And I took it. I just
trying to be predatory, and I've seen it because I go to clubs with my friends who are girls, and I have to tell the men to literally leave them alone because they keep going. And they're predatory, and they're literally scouting out for women that are drunk or whatever, not even drunk. She could say no 1,000 times, and they're still gonna bother her. But the minute that I say something,
Bro,
they
chicken is
women
fire,
are
especially
not
heroes.
as strong as men, and they get targeted. Sure, yes, that is a privilege that men have over women, but that doesn't mean that men have privilege because of that one situation. Men commit suicide way more than women do.
Because if we're going to go that route, trans men commit suicide twice the rate.
But that's not.
I think what's important here is to distinguish the fact that yes,
bro,
no one is negating the fact that women can get preyed on. You know, there's situations where this happens, right? Like no one's going to deny that. But we're also just trying to say that it's not like a one-sided coin here, where there's no like
Yo,
men
Infinity,
are
what you on, my
just,
boy?
you know, we just have it good and we can do whatever we want.
I do
we
not
can't
believe that's true.
we can't even be the next Supreme Court justice because you know it's like.
But you know, I live as a man, so I see the difference now.
Yeah.
When I said I have privilege and I walk into a room,
Just
of
reacting?
course, but then there's other things that are expected of me now as a man that I would never knew were expected
So
of
would
me.
you guys agree that that there's such thing as female privilege?
Oh, sure, 100%.
My wife has privilege because she has me.
That's right.
So she don't have to worry about her
Right
safety
on.
because I'm there.
I don't believe that as a man.
Oh,
it's like,
that
you
was
know,
just smart.
Marketing for women-owned brands. Like I said, I can't be the next Supreme Court justice. Like women are very much more empowered today, which I think is, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, like, good for you. But I think that the man I probably have privilege because I'm, 6 foot 210. Like no one's picking on me when I walk down the street. You know, I used to live in Chicago and I used to walk home all the time at night. But like, was that smart? Probably not. But I felt a little safe because I'm not 5 foot 100 pounds. I'm Max. I'm 29 and I'm a conservative man. In today's society, women and men can be whatever they want and be as successful or as strong or as big of a leader as they choose. So I'm just wondering, in a society that is so seemingly more level than ever before, why are we transitioning to different genders to find, and what are we looking for?
Biology determines gender.
So sex and gender, people try to argue that they're different, but sex and gender actually go hand to hand. And our biology, being a man, comes down to every fiber within our body. So whether that be DNA, chromosomes, testosterone levels, bone density, there's a whole bunch of different factors that go into it, and it all has to do with biology.
So biology, I 100% believe in biology. Today we talk about biology being a social construct. I disagree with that as a transgender person. I was born biologically female. I always acknowledge that, and today I live as a male. Now that being said, sex and gender, they are trying to separate those things. Gender can be, I've chosen my gender. As you see, nobody would, I think, probably understand that I used to be a female. Now, many people do, like you just said, believe that sex and gender are one thing and you can never change those. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm trying to show the world that this is how I feel by presenting the outside. But I think denying biology is where we get into a lot of problems.
If you want to be, seen as a man, then like,
right on.
Who are you to? I don't care. I mean, you do you, whatever makes you happy. But I think like it becomes a slippery slope. It's like, how are we going to deny basic human facts? Like, there's two genders.
I think that causes problems, and it causes problems for me.
Yeah.
Because the minute I start
Nigga,
denying
how
your
old you was.
biology, now you feel attacked by me. Right. And I don't want you to feel attacked by me. I never want you to feel, I want to be a part of, if that makes sense. You don't have to agree with my choice of how I live my life, but all I ask for is respect.
What do you have on your driver license and your birth certificate?
Right,
Do you
great,
change it to
great.
male or do you change it to?
So that being said, I transitioned to live as a man 29 years ago. So that was way before you see any of this stuff. And I had to acknowledge my biology, right? That being said, my license, I travel the world. It has to say male. Can you imagine
you're right,
if
you're
I
right.
showed up at the airport, they're like, female? Dude, there's something going on here. But I actually got my birth certificate changed to male. I was the first person to do that here in Los Angeles. But that being said, I kind of think that it might have been a mistake to do that now, looking forward today, because I never thought we would be having this conversation.
I'm glad you said that because I love that people can express themselves. We live in America. It doesn't matter what I believe, what my religion is. I love that people can live their best life. I'll never, ever in my life protest or try to go against a person who wants to identify. The problem is when you begin to try to change language and you begin to try to change reality, and then
you turn 20
this
year.
changes on the children, and all of that becomes problematic.
Rockout just turned 19. Rockout was the youngest one that ever happened. Infinity older than Rockout.
If a person says, okay, I acknowledge I'm born as a man or a woman, but I want to identify as this, cool.
Because if any turned 20 this year.
And even if I didn't
want
to see it that way, and some people may be a little more ambiguous, I wouldn't never disrespect you. I'll call you by your name.
That's right.
Whatever name that you want to be associated with, I'll do that. And I think if everybody in the country can get on that same page, I think we'll see less division.
I've noticed in a lot of the trans individuals that I've met, the older generation who had it a lot harder in society to be accepted.
Yeah, you're younger right now.
Is a lot more willing to have the conversation.
We didn't have social media. I didn't have cell phones. I didn't have computers when I transitioned. This is how you build bridges. I'm Buck. I'm 59 years old, and I'm a trans man. Because I'm an elder trans man
59?
now, much newer generation, there's a definite space where I have a different way of being than the younger generation, and why I tend to call myself a transsexual man. And I believe in biology, I believe in binary, so it really does not necessarily align with the new thought process that is happening with the newer generation.
So I love
30
this
is crazy, my nigga.
With trans folks, biology does change. Our bone density does change. Our muscle structure does change. Our testosterone levels do change. So biologically, we do change. Anatomically, now that's where surgeries come into play.
Anatomically.
So when we're talking about biology and gender
like
that can't be changed, our biology absolutely and concretely changes.
Not the DNA.
But our
DNA does not change.
Yeah, DNA is not going to change for anyone.
So you acknowledge there's a biological difference between males and females, because some people on the other side would say there's no difference. Like a female, like I could look like a girl, not having testosterone, but I'm still a male.
Some people are male, some people are female, chromosomally. But when we start to take testosterone, our bodies do biologically change.
But what about trans men who don't take testosterone?
Then their bodies don't biologically change.
That means then they're biologically still female, right?
Well, and gender in itself is something we get to choose. Okay,
That's right.
Just like you said.
And I got your birthdays written down.
You don't get to choose it for the world, but you get to choose it.
I
for
get to
That's
choose
right.
my gender because I've been on testosterone for 10 years. Okay, going on 11 years.
But there's some anatomy that will never change.
That's right.
Right? I mean, you
My nigga, what?
still have ovaries. You still
not
have,
everybody.
the female reproductive system. You said that you had a child.
Yes, I've given birth. I no longer have female reproductive organs.
Right, but you had that. You will never get male productive organs.
Now, when you think about it, the male and female productive organs are similar, and they're nearly the same. They're different. Right. They're different in size.
Even if
biologically,
and they're different in functionality too.
Not necessarily, because the testes and the ovaries are very much similar. One is an egg, one is a fertilizer,
But
and
we
that's
can
the
never,
difference.
But I never can produce sperm.
You're absolutely
ever,
right.
Ever.
You're absolutely right.
And they can never produce ova.
And you guys are saying that gender is like a social construct. Is that what you're saying too, that you could change it? But also, if you want to be technical about it, age is a social construct, your ethnicity and race is a social construct, and I'm Hispanic. I can't say
get your birthday written down.
Chinese, because I like Chinese food. I could bleach my skin all I want. I could wear Chinese clothes.
No, race
Chinese.
is not.
It's a
How
social
is
construct.
ethnicity going to be a construct?
There's all social constructs.
So
We all agree on it.
how exactly?
If you look up, is race a social construct? Ethnicity a social construct? Is time a social construct? Right. Everything's a social construct if you want to think about it that way. But we have set truths, and we can't change those truths. If you want to say you're trans man, that means you're a biological female that thinks that
No,
you're a male.
I am a biological male. I'm an anatomically.
See, he's gonna have different
I'm
version
still
of it than,
right.
and I think it's really important that we understand
and
we're all gonna have
it's
different views.
anatomic, okay?
Yeah.
Because biologically, I have shifted, okay? Trans meaning going from one to the next.
Biologically, all these things, I know that there's importance for you guys, but meeting me or seeing me, you would never know. So why is it important?
Well, no, because just
I'm just
say
curious.
if I was a woman, just say if I was a woman and I wanted to date you, what are you going to tell me?
I would tell you that I'm trans. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying you can't tell me that you're a man.
I mean, I'm still a man.
No, but you
I'm a
got to tell
transgender
me.
man.
You got to tell me that you were born a woman. You have to.
I mean, I don't have to.
Well, because if I go down, if I see you in your pants, I'm going to see something different, and that will be troubling to me if I had an expectation.
But again, this is like leading off the topic, but I mean, to answer your question,
Imagine
you
it.
must know, I do tell the person that I'm talking to or interested that I'm transgender.
What would y'all do in a situation if y'all was dating? Like, what would you do in a situation if you was, like, you like the person just like that, right? Girl, trans man, right? And you're finna have sex or intercourse, and then they say, and then you go and you try to go down and you see the opposite of what you think gonna be down there. Like, what would you do? Would you be pissed, or would you just go with the flow? Why not switch your genitals? No, they can switch their genitals, I believe. It's just that they can't switch what come like they can have a dick, right? They can have a dick, but they can't produce sperm out their dick. They can have a vagina, but they can't. But a guy can change to a woman and have a vagina, but they can't produce woman shit. Nah, smash the booty hole is crazy.
You know, you don't need a penis to be a man.
Smash the booty hole is crazy.
I know that you may disagree, which is fine. Like, I get it, but I don't want one.
Now, I have a question for all of you. Do your penises make you men?
Yes, biologically.
Is that what makes you?
Well, I said being a man's ingrained within every part of your body, so our cells are.
Yeah,
so
I like.
but
if you had,
as they're talking about biologically, I like girls that are born biologically women.
To look at the difference between us and between you. Now, would that difference be the lack of a penis?
If we were naked.
Okay.
I mean,
if we're gonna minimize being a man to that particular anatomy,
we didn't minimize.
No. I'm asking the question. Okay. If we minimize it, because this is where we're going, is anatomy, right? Because that's where we've gotten.
Our basic biology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we get there, so do your penises make you more men than us?
It's part of
it's
what
not
does.
making more or less. It's we're a biologically man. You're not a biological man.
It's not a spectrum, so it's not a question that we can answer, because you're saying on the spectrum, would this make us more of a man than you? But no, it's because we are a man and
what?
You guys
Wait,
aren't.
if they pull out a dick, I'ma still smash so they don't feel awkward though. The breakup after like a week or so. Hell no, I'm not doing that. Bro, if it's a girl, if I think it's a girl, right? And everything changed, cause genetics nowadays is crazy, my nigga. Like transition from a guy to a girl is crazy, my nigga. So I would just leave. Like, I'll be pissed. I'll start breaking shit, and I'll just leave. Like, I can't.
Well, we're different.
So we're not men.
It doesn't feel real. You gotta place yourself in issues. That's true, but you gotta think about it. They're gonna feel weird, and I'm gonna be pissed. Both of us losing at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, both of us losing. Like, they gonna feel weird. I'm gonna be pissed. So, like, either way it go, it's gonna be a lose-lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine me be like, oh, it's okay. But on my head, I'm pissed off, my nigga. I'm drilling that asshole loose. You know what I'm saying? But they happy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. And then me, I got bad anger issues. So, like, I wouldn't be able to just sit there and just, like, drill a booty hole. Drill a booty hole of a guy who used to be a woman. Like, drill a booty hole of a woman who used to be a guy.
Is exactly what you just said.
In my view, you guys are appropriating the gender, and you are living as a man, but biologically you are not a man. So to me, it's not. You can't say, okay, well, does that make us more of a man? That's not even a question to ask, because you're not a biological man. When it comes down to asking questions that make me start to change what the truth is and what the truth isn't, putting it on a spectrum when it's an objective truth, that's where I draw the line.
What's the biggest problem with what he said? It doesn't make what you feel any different. The biological truth is the truth, and why can't that be the truth? And you also say, but I feel like on the inside that I'm a man and I'm going to present that way.
The argument is that people try to invalidate who we are with that. I'm not saying that you guys are doing that, but a lot of society in the world does that. Well, biologically, you're female. What hurts trans people that people don't realize what they're doing is it's very harmful. You got to be aware of what you're saying and what you're putting out there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, 100%. I would, and that's why I think we all agree. We would never try to offend you or anything like that. To be honest, if I saw any one of you in the streets, I don't care. It's not going to bother me that you want to. Right. I would know unless I pulled your pants down or something. Right. Why do you feel like you have to present the way you do? You know, facial hair. Could you be a man without having facial hair?
I mean, yeah.
Because you feel like you're a man.
I'm in the early stages of testosterone. I haven't hit 1 year yet. But personally for me, you know, I crave, you know, having a full-on beard like these fine gentlemen and you guys are. Like, I crave it, you know, like. But I do believe, like, not having, like, this little small peach fuzz I have going on, it does make me feel more dysphoric. It makes me, like, feel like, oh, this is how I presented before transitioning.
Do you feel like it's something that has gone wrong at birth? Like, you know, you're born and you say, well, genetics and evolution says this. Why do I feel like this?
Yeah, I mean,
I
think questioning it was something that I always wondered, because sometimes
I just want to chime in on this. I low key feel like when people turn like trans, gay, shit like that, I feel like it goes into like experiences of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like, I feel like it goes into experience like let's say I turn to a woman, right? Like that one guy, like the one guy with the white guy with the beard, the fat ass beard. Him that's sitting next to the folks right here. My nigga, he probably turned into a man. That nigga got R'd like 3 times, damn near, he said. He just kept saying it. The nigga was homeless, nigga got sexually harassed, like a whole bunch of other shit. So I feel like it goes to like your experiences in life. I don't think nobody just born. Honestly, I don't feel like nobody just born to just be like, yeah, this pussy not there for me. I need a dick. I don't think nobody's born doing it. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie.
Some people say like, oh, like it was a choice, which I hear a lot on the other side all the time. Like, it was a choice. I was legit born this way. Like, I could remember from, I think, 4 or 5 years old where like I didn't feel like a girl. You know what I mean? And I can't tell you why that happened. It was just my path in this life, and it's something that I honored. And you know, it was really hard for me to continue living, especially when puberty hit. You know, like
what's the
month comes.
What's the code word for the R word? What's the code word? Let me know.
And obviously, anatomy changes, like, and that was the biggest thing for me where I knew that, like, okay, I can't do this. It's like you're not in your own home.
Children should be allowed to transition.
Slam the batter ham.
Well, I was gonna say, I find it very
We can
interesting.
use it. We can use it. Slam batter ham. We can use it.
Especially since we're.
We can use it.
You should allow children
Hold on,
to
wait.
feel.
I did not hear what the fuck they shit. Children should be allowed to transition. Hell no. Hell no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
Should be allowed.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. If my son like that nigga gotta be considered. I gotta consider my son grown in order for me to let that nigga make that choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my son wanna be a girl, like he wanna transition to a transgender. You know what I'm saying? He wanna be a trans woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let that nigga do that at a young age. Like, going back to what Dwayne Wade did, right? Dwayne Wade did that with his son, right? I think he did. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he did. If I was Wade, my nigga, I'm not letting my son do that. I'm not gonna lie. Exactly. Not at least 18. At least, my nigga. At the oldest I try to hold you for on that. Lag. Is it good? At the oldest I try to hold you for on that, my nigga, is 21. If you 21, you wanna do it, I have no problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Do what you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? You're a grown ass man. I can't even. You know what I'm saying? But if you're below the age of 18, I don't give a fuck. If you 17.9, you're not. I'm not letting you go and chop your shit off or just go and just get all the plastic surgery and shit. Like, no, that's not. Hell no. And you paying for that shit on your own.
Allowed to transition.
Like, bro, they're kids. What the hell? They probably going off what they see.
I was gonna say, I find it very interesting that you and I are the only ones that stepped up, especially since we're younger. And
you should allow children to feel what they feel, because I felt the way that I felt for as long as I can remember, and it's something that I cannot deny.
Yeah.
You know, although my mother is supportive, when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to wear boys' clothes because that wasn't right. Now I know we're talking about transitioning. It doesn't always have to be hormones. It's like.
Also, I want to say, the same shit I just said about my son when I'm changing to, that shit applies for my daughter too. That shit applies for my daughter too, my nigga.
So being able to dress more masculine.
Wait, let's be honest, boys don't want to do that at like mid school so they can get some pussy the cheap way. Talk about mid school, they get some pussy cheap way. I feel like, I look feel like some niggas do act kind of gay, just like play around with the girls. That's their way of playing around with girls to get them. Some niggas probably do that. I can't cap. Some niggas probably do that. Well, not even probably. Some niggas do that. Like that's.
I did when
being
I was
honest.
younger,
Being
but as I got
honest.
into middle school, kids change. People are mean. So you know, I dressed how I would in society. So I dressed like a girl, whatever. But I think that children should be allowed to express themselves in whatever way makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Kids are struggling to be who they are, and there's more rates of suicide for trans individuals because there's literally being laws put in place to prevent them from being who they are, and that's not right. That's not right.
For being who they are. Like being who they are in society as
Okay,
being
so
who
I
they
work
are.
with children. This is where I have like the biggest problem with the trans stuff is with the children, because people, like I'm sure you guys would agree, you want to inject them with the hormones to stop their puberty, their normal puberty. They haven't even developed the prefrontal cortex yet, and you want to stop their natural
this nigga smart as
puberty
hell.
from occurring to affirm their gender, and then later on they regret it. I think that's not a good thing.
See, that's why this is a loaded question, because transition can mean many things for children. Now, I totally, as a transsexual person, disagree with giving children hormone blockers, medication, surgery, but what I do agree with is socially transition.
I disagree with that shit too.
Because I did that, okay, and I did that in the 60s and 70s. My parents dressed me like Buck, I was a boy, you know, I didn't have any problems because I just lived, we used to call it a tomboy, right? So that was totally, and I went through puberty and I did all the things. I do not believe children can make those choices, and I do not believe it's okay and ethical for a parent to make those choices for a child. But I do believe gender dysphoria exists in children. I had it, 100% it's there. But to give medication to a child is so unethical to me that you would actually, you're exactly what you said, you're stunting brain growth, you're stunting all of these things. They don't have enough
so everybody on the left side was a girl before. Everybody on the right was born a biological male.
Research on it. So I'm in agreement with transitioning medically for children is not okay for me, but I do believe in a social space.
When you say a social transition, it's interesting to me because we can't control what happens in a social situation.
That's right.
That nigga scares
so
me.
To me, and we talk about suicide rates among young trans people, this whole ideology is telling people to derive their value off of what somebody else is saying about them or what somebody else affirms to them. So we say that, you know, society is the problem and we're not allowing people to be who they are and that's why they're committing suicide, but maybe it has to do with the messaging that we're sending to these kids, that you derive your value from if somebody uses your correct pronoun, or you derive your value if you can.
I thought Clarkson was too funny though.
Wearing a dress, be who you are, but tell them to be empowered about it and not get that empowerment from somebody else.
I feel like that's really kind of inconsiderate to say that someone would take their life because what someone else says. To somebody, that is important. To somebody, I know have friends who their family does not use their correct pronouns and they've transitioned and they live in the same household. This person struggles with depression and anxiety. Could you imagine living in an environment like that where you're no longer validated? That's coming from your own parents.
But if you base your validation off of other people, this is a hard truth, but if your sole validation
no, you definitely have to do it. Listen,
I
could give
people,
a shit when everyone thinks about me. I do what I want. But for everyone, that's not the case because everybody has different personalities.
Right, but that doesn't make it any. That doesn't mean that.
But it's still. But what you're not acknowledging. Listen, what you're not acknowledging though is that in that environment, it is not supported.
I'm acknowledging that. I'm just saying that we're saying that for some reason they should look for that validation from somebody else.
When you love somebody and you have a
within.
family, you want them to
But
validate.
you're focusing not on the individual. You're focusing on the people outside of that individual.
But the individual.
I'm focusing on empowering that individual.
But part of being a person is needing to be validated. You don't need to be validated ever in your life. From your
No.
family.
Hell no.
I get my validation from within, and then the.
Right, but if we're talking,
I'm not gonna lie, my nigga, ain't gonna lie. Them two niggas got some type of animosity. I'm gonna let that be known right now, alright? Them niggas got animosity. Clarkson, and I forgot folks' name, my bad folks' name, but I forgot your name. But them niggas bumping heads. I don't need validation. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I feel like if you need validation, you're just not cool with, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just not cool with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't sure of yourself. You're not sure of your own decisions you making type shit. Like, that's why I feel like they're not agreeing with. I feel like Clarkson sees validation as like, that's like, if you can, like, he don't need validation. Like, I feel like Clarkson saying like he don't need validation. Like, he's sure of everything that he does. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything he does and who he is. I feel like the other guy just like, he's talking like family, like parents and shit like that. Which I mean, to an extent, that's true, but
talking about children, okay? If we're talking, okay, I was an 8-year-old when I found out that I wasn't biologically male, right? I was 8 when I found out that I wasn't the same as my brothers, okay? And so going through that process, I attempted suicide 4 times because my mother was like, "Well, you are a girl." When you're 8 and you're 12 and you don't have anyone else that is in your space, when you don't have anyone else that lives in the same house as you to tell you you're okay, where are you supposed to go? How are you supposed to garner your own self-validation if the people that are raising you don't validate who you are?
As a father, you know, my duty is to raise my children the way I believe is right. And if my child somehow struggles with this, which is fine, we'll have that conversation. But I'm going to let it play out the way I believe it should be played out. And at 18 years old, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's exactly what we just said. That's exactly what we just said, my nigga. I got something for you to actually. That basically the same topic. I bet. That's literally exactly what we just said. Like, that is crazy. Like, bro, if my kid come up to me and be like, "Hey, Dad, I'm actually, Dad, I want to be, I'm a boy." You know what I'm saying? Like, my kid, like, my daughter comes to me and says shit like that. I'm like, "No, you're not. You're a girl." Cause that's she biologically. That's she is. She's a girl. She was born a girl. She's a fucking girl, right? Now, if she go ahead and turn 18, you know what I'm saying, and transform all her body parts to a male, and she say, "Okay, Dad, I'm a boy," right? I'ma acknowledge it and be like, "You know what? I'm gonna consider her a boy now." You know what I'm saying? Not just cause, like, not only because of the body parts, but because, like, bro, my daughter was born a fucking girl, so I'm gonna say she's a fucking girl. If she was born, if my son was born a boy, you say he's a girl. You're a fucking boy. You're not a girl. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I see shit. Like, my daughter not finna walk around with no fucking. She can dress like a tomboy. I don't care about that part. But her come to be like, I'm a boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna look at her like I'm not gonna look at her like a funny way, but I'm gonna talk to her like you a girl. Like, why you saying you a boy, right? I'm gonna get that talk with her. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna call her a boy until she transitions into a full-blown fucking boy.
Want to wear dresses, that's fine. I mean, just wearing if you want to dress like a boy, don't make you want to be a boy. Don't mean you have to be a boy. My mom was a tomboy, and my mom had me and my brother, and she's a woman, you know, and she lives like that. But you know, you may want to dress a little bit. Maybe a boy want to do cheerleading or something like that. Right. But that don't mean you need to transition to something else. So I want that to play out until my child is old enough to make that decision on their own. Also, you have to teach your children to have balance. Because if you just want mommy and daddy to acquiesce to everything you want, that's not reality. Yeah. You have to understand that mom and dad may not see me this way. They love me. Right. I see myself this way, and I disagree with how they speak to me or how but I love them as well. I love, like my son, if he said that he was, and I'm a Christian and I don't believe in homosexuality, I don't. I respect anybody that feel that way. I never, protest you at all. If my son came to me, it would be a struggle for me to want to go to his wedding. I'm just going to be honest. But I think that my son should understand this is the way my dad feel. I love him. This is the way I feel, and we have mutual love. And that don't mean I hate you. That just mean we disagree. And I wish that same sentiment would be, and I think it's the same on this panel. Like, there's no hate in any of this. Right. I love every single person on this side. And we may think of things differently, but we love each other. It can't be one-sided. I am lucky.
I fuck with folks. Like, he just has said everything I said, but in an intellectual way, my nigga. Like, he just really spit that shit. I fuck with folks. He just spit that shit in an intellectual manner, my nigga.
One of my greatest fears as a trans man is my life being taken from me because I'm a trans man. Transitioning in a black neighborhood with gang members as neighbors, they weren't having that.
That nigga he's speaking our shit.
That my body started to look a lot like theirs. I was challenged on a regular basis. I was beaten up because someone recognized me from prior to my transition and approached me and confronted me and called me a liar and told me I was a bitch. And I, out of safety, was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they cold cocked me and I lost a front tooth.
I grew up with a positive father figure.
No. Nah, this question ain't funny, but it's funny because, like, bro, I grew up with two different type of father figures, my nigga. Like, you didn't either. That's what I'm saying. Merch, you didn't. Damn, that's crazy. Damn, we're in the same boat, my nigga. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the negative father figure club, my nigga. Like, I grew up with, like, my dad, but not because of gay shit. No, not because of gay shit. I just didn't grow up with a good one. Like, the person I became today, it's an effect of my father. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's from an effect of my father. But the person I am now is because of me. The person I was growing up to be, oh my God, that nigga was a demon. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, we talk about this, my nigga. I grew up with my father, my biological father, right? I grew up with that nigga. That nigga used to, like, he used to, like, punch me and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that nigga used to hit me hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, in the chest and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that didn't make me tough, though. Like, while he was doing that shit didn't make me tough at all. I still was a little bitch. I was a little bitch. But, like, I got older and shit, And then I tested that nigga one day. You know what I'm saying? And then me and him just fell out after I tested that nigga. Cause I thought I was gonna kill him just like that in GTA. I told him I was gonna kill him in GTA. And shit just went like, shit was just going like downhill type shit. You know what I'm saying? And then my stepdad hopped in and shit like that. And then with him, I became more of like I became more like unemotional after my biological father left. You know what I'm saying? Me and him cool now, but back then after that I became unemotional, right? I became nonchalant, blunt, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. My stepdad came in, right? And there's like a little intermission, this shit. My stepdad came in, and that nigga like he showed me good shit, but at the same time, I feel like I took more bad from not having my biological father in my life than good. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I used to always wonder like what the fuck going on and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I had to figure out that life on my own, basically. Like, I had like my stepdad, he's a game banger shit like that. So street shit, I got that from him. Biological father nigga was a basketball player. I didn't get the books from him. I had to get the books from my mom. My mom raised me as like a fucking double parent, basically. So, you know what I'm saying? I got raised by a woman who had to play the male role as well. Which shit was hard because I grew up like a little bitch because my mom was always like aid to me a lot. You know what I'm saying? So like the shit didn't really balance me out. I'm just now like really balancing my life out on like how to be this way, how to be this way. I'm still more nonchalant than anything. I'm still more like that male image that everybody think about when they say like niggas don't crash like that. Like I ain't crying a long ass time. But I be feeling it. But I don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, shit like that. But I didn't grow up with one. I ain't gonna lie. But I know how to be a good father to my kids. Like, I took care of a kid somewhat before.
This is good.
I think for me it's surprising because I would believe that a woman or a person who's born as a woman who now identifies as a man didn't have a positive role model as a man, and therefore they felt somewhat insecure as a woman, which makes them, feel a certain way and want to be a certain different person. Maybe they want to be the man that their father never was, or whatever the case may be. And so it was very interesting. I mean, being honest, it was interesting to see pretty much a majority of you guys come forward.
That's so great. I think that's really important that you say that, because I do think a lot of people probably feel that way about guys like me, right? That our fathers we didn't have the right upbringing or what. My father was amazing. I grew up really like a little boy. I always felt like a little boy. My parents actually raised me, and I'm 59 years old, so that was in the 60s and the 70s when we didn't even talk about this kind of stuff. But my parents actually felt it from me. So I think that that's a misconception that people think about people like us.
Any good father pushes their child to one be, feel self-love, and to feel like they can be who they want, do what they want, and have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Like our founding fathers, and so it's fatherlessness or having a missing dad is a pandemic in its own, and it's one that obviously I'm sure Brandon can attest to. It's so critical to have a father in the house because kids get lost when they don't have one, and having a father that's loving and strong and someone you can rely on is, the reason why, we're all comfortable with who we are.
Bro, if you don't have a father and a mother, my nigga, like, if you just raised by your dad, then you're gonna become too tough in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna become too heartless. Cause let's be serious. Dads raise their sons heartless as fuck. They raise their daughters and shit like that, right? If you only have, that's come from a boy. If you have only a mama raising your son and no father figure, no male inside the house, yeah, you'll be in the streets like shit. Like you'll just be a rugged ass nigga if you only had a dad. But if you had a mom, you'll be like all soft and kind hearted and shit like that. Like you have the feminine traits that people that you would be perceived as something else. You know what I'm saying? But you'll be straight as hell, but you'll perceive something else because you have the feminine traits because you're only raised by a woman and you don't have those masculine traits that you need to survive as well inside the masculine part of the world that you got to go in.
I had several different father figures like in my life, so it wasn't, I had a dad, but then I had my grandfather and I had my uncle. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, basically. Like any hard time, my mom helped me through. Any hard time she got help with, like shit like that. Like that's how it was. The main father figure, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm lying, I'm dying, nigga. The only person I can really say was like the big ass father figure in my life was my uncle Pracha. His name Pracha. No, we call him Pracha. His name not Pracha. We call him Pracha. That nigga, that's a real ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I want to make it in this shit though. Like, I want to make it in YouTube and shit like that so I can just retire that nigga though. Cause like, that nigga don't have no fun. He just works every single day, bro. Like, I'm telling y'all niggas, bro. If I ever get that nigga on the stream, y'all go see. He a cool ass dude though.
All of those different perspectives raised me as a well-rounded human. Like, you know, if we take the masculinity out of it, just as a human, I got to see different perspectives. And so now as a father that has given birth to a child, and that child being a male, right, I'm able to raise him with those same ideals.
Heard one beside you. You better be saying good things about me. I raise your ass. Hey, no cap, I dead ass look back to see what she right behind me. I dead ass look back to see what she over there right there. Ain't gonna lie. I look back to my door to see what she over there. That is crazy.
That I'm able to identify because.
Oh God, I looked up there to see what somebody at my door watch me say
my
this.
Father growing up, he was not present in my life at all, so it showed that
he's raised
some
black.
men can step up, like my grandfather and my stepfather, who have taken me in and showed me how to take care of myself, how to be, you know, strong and dependable. And all I've been able to do is give more love to all people that I interact with.
Right.
So it was really important for me to have those figures.
I think this is a really important thing to show people that are watching this, because a lot of times I feel like we can blame any issues in society or anything that arises on the generation that came before us. So any issues that arise in our society, it's like, there's not always a reason why it's happening. We just need to address the issue and solve it.
I grew up with all women. My parents were divorced, and I lived with my mom. I had my aunts. So I was raised by women, but my dad was there sometimes, and then my stepdad took me in as his own, so I had my stepdad as a father figure.
I grew up with all women as well. My mom used to tell me I have to be your mom and your dad. So like there'd be times where I got both. Like she was super sweet with me or really strict on me, and like she taught me.
I got mostly sweet, I'm not gonna lie.
Women, it taught me a lot of vulnerability.
You know, when you were talking to, I was like, I relate to you very well. But yeah.
I'm Jacob, I'm 27 years old, and I'm a trans man. So the relation with my dad and how unsupportive he is has been a challenge for me, but it's something that I've learned to grow past. And I encourage everyone that even if you don't have a parent who is supportive, to still be authentically yourself, because your life is meant to be lived for you. And I think that choosing my happiness above all else has made my life that much better, and I wouldn't change anything. Even though he wasn't supportive, I still wouldn't have him here.
Listening to all your guys' points, I would definitely say, yeah, I did have a father figure. He was in the Marines, and he has this very like toxic masculinity mindset, a lot of anger built.
Wait, your mama before you show up. I think this. She like.
What's up that?
I'm a dumbass. I'm a bigger dumbass.
I can definitely tell he suppressed, you know, in the Marines, because that's what he was taught to do. That's what the Marines are about. He always carried that with him, and I think that's what he tried to instill in me and my siblings at a very young age, which made it hard for me to be vulnerable with myself. And I just saw a lot of anger issues that were very violent sometimes.
I'm not even gonna flex on, you know what I'm saying? Like
times, and since
let me just get back to this. We gotta finish this video.
Coming out as trans, I feel like he's been more willing to understand me more and trying to figure out who I am as a person. And because of that, I feel like our relationship has definitely got a lot stronger since then.
I can't imagine how difficult it is to come home and then try to be vulnerable after suppressing so much
I
pain
bet,
and
boy.
hurt for years. So it's good to hear that, you know, he's learning and kind of evolving and opening up. That's something where, you know, you guys were talking about vulnerability, right? And it's like, there's times when it's good to be hard.
I don't show emotion as much as I'd like.
Oh my God, this question here, I ain't gonna lie. They got some good ass questions. I don't show you. That comes from pain, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I don't show you much as much I like, cause that shit come from pain. When the nigga be hurt so many times, bro, like you should be tatted his life shit. You should be tatted like just going through all the bullshit you went through your life. Like, you gotta just tell yourself like things will get better, shit like that. You just gotta keep telling yourself, but then shit get worse. It's just like, bro, it's like, yeah. I wish I knew how to show more emotion. I wish I could just walk up to somebody and be like, I love you. That shit's so hard for me. That shit's so hard. Cause niggas take advantage of your love. Like, everybody take advantage of your love nowadays.
I definitely have sensed and noticed since transitioning that being on testosterone has made me cry less, which is very interesting, because I believe that before I transitioned and started taking testosterone, I feel like not being able to cry as much, it makes me feel like, I'm like, damn, I wish I could cry right now, but it's not gonna happen. I'm Gibby and I'm a trans man. Before transitioning, I guess only presented as lesbian, but since transitioning, I've been able to be more comfortable with my sexuality. I've definitely seen on like dating apps and stuff, a lot of conservative men fetishizing trans individuals. And it's interesting because a lot of the time they say that they don't identify as gay or, you know, within the community, and yet they're fetishizing my community.
So I don't know about you guys, but I always speak my mind. If I feel a certain way, I'll tell somebody, and that probably cost me a lot of relationships, but that's just how I am. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with, I know we talked about vulnerability, you know.
No, one time I streamed like 14 hours before.
Vulnerable. I think, like we said, there's times and places for it. Knowing.
Like this long time I've streamed, like while taking it like super serious. But while I was on the PS4, I streamed 14 hours on the PS4 before.
When it's okay to be vulnerable and being self-aware of that, and then, you know, being strong when you need to, and being sad, you know, when it's appropriate. But I certainly am not as vulnerable or not as emotional as probably I should, because it's not something that I always do.
But I'll do that for 1,000 followers.
Issues like suppressing. I just feel like I kind of get it in other ways.
Yeah, that's great you look at it like that, because I believe for me, like my personal experiences, like because I was one, you know, to transition at a young age.
I'll do a meet and greet for $1 million.
In the military,
real.
He would see me being vulnerable at times.
$1 million is a lot.
Don't you want to be a man?
I gotta do a meet and greet for $1 million.
That would make me feel like, oh, am I not supposed to be vulnerable anymore? Now that I'm gonna transition, and
too macho
it was just
man.
like very hard for me because, like I said earlier, it was hard for me to have that father figure at that time of my life.
You know, my process of, you know, digesting emotions is by myself, and I use that time to self-reflect. So if I'm feeling angry, or if I'm, you know, feeling really passionate about something, or whatever the emotion is, sometimes I pull back and I don't show that emotion because I'm reflecting on it and trying to understand why it's there. So I think a lot of times people can think men aren't showing enough emotion, but in reality, they're just...
If you're scared to do something, then that means you should do it. 100%.
Self-assessing why that emotion is there in order to see what it's trying to teach us.
Right. I think for when I was female, I was much more angry. I was just reactive, angry, like, grr. And then as I became a man, I cry more now as a man than I ever did as a woman. And I think it's because I'm at peace with myself. And so before I was just so angry about being a woman and everyone calling me she and seeing a girl, and I'd just be, you know, as a fashion model. So that really just took it to a whole other level.
He must have been a daddy.
Man, it was like, whoa, I can actually relax. And I think I do the same thing. I self-reflect on myself. I want to be this type of man that is more vulnerable and that is more accessing my own emotion.
Wait, I could just play this.
Thank you, everyone.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's good then.
Sipping on drinks, it turned to a hobby. I don't know nobody that can stop me. I ain't even trying to sound cocky. Give me your throat, I don't want your body. G23 turn his head to spaghetti. We got a rabbit on bitches daily.